My name is Emily Parker. I'm 32 years old, work as a nurse in a mid-sized hospital in Atlanta, and had what most people would describe as a relatively normal life. At least, I thought it was normal, until I met someone who would shake everything I believed in, someone who would make me question my values, challenge my loyalty, and leave me with the hardest decision I've ever had to make. It all started 2 summers ago. I had just come out of a 5-year relationship with my college boyfriend, Thomas. We met during freshman orientation and quickly became inseparable. We moved in together, adopted a dog, and even started talking about marriage. But over time, things changed. Or maybe we did. He became more invested in his career as an investment consultant, often working late and traveling for weeks at a time. I found myself growing lonely, spending more time with friends and picking up extra shifts at the hospital just to feel useful. Eventually, we sat down and mutually decided to end things. It was a clean break, or so I thought. After the breakup, I threw myself into work. The long hours helped keep my mind off the emotional pain. My friends tried setting me up a few times, but nothing ever stuck. I wasn't looking for love. Honestly, I didn't trust myself to make good decisions anymore. That's when I met Jake. Jake Matthews wasn't someone you'd expect to find in a hospital, at least not as a volunteer. He was tall, rugged, with a casual kind of charm that could disarm even the most hardened nurse. He had served in the Marines and now worked as a physical trainer for veterans. He volunteered twice a week, helping our rehab patients with light exercises and support. The first time I saw him, he was trying to cheer up an elderly patient who refused to do her stretches. He knelt beside her, told a silly story, and within minutes, she was laughing through her tears and trying her best to follow along. I was impressed. But more than that, I was curious. We started talking in the break room one day. It started with casual chatter, how long he'd been volunteering, what I did in the hospital, and somehow that turned into longer conversations about everything from favorite books to childhood memories. We clicked so effortlessly that it scared me. After a few weeks of friendly conversations, he asked me to grab coffee. At first, I hesitated. Was I ready? Was it too soon? But something inside me told me to take the leap. One coffee wouldn't hurt. That coffee turned into dinner. That dinner turned into late-night walks, and those walks led to weekends spent exploring parks, cooking together, and even meeting each other's friends. Jake was unlike anyone I'd ever dated. He was grounded, attentive, and somehow always knew what I needed, even when I didn't know myself. I felt alive again. I felt seen. But life isn't a movie. Real life has complications. And mine came with a phone call from Thomas, my ex. It had been nearly a year since we'd spoken. I was surprised to see his name flash across my phone screen. He sounded nervous, even vulnerable, and asked if we could meet. I agreed, mostly out of curiosity, maybe a little guilt. We met at a quiet cafe, and when I saw him, I noticed the difference immediately. He looked tired, less polished than I remembered. His usual confident demeanor had faded into something quieter. We talked for hours. He apologized, genuinely. Said he'd been seeing a therapist, that he realized how much he'd taken me for granted. He talked about how he'd buried himself in work to avoid dealing with emotions, and how he now understood what he lost. And then just like that, he said he wanted another chance. I was stunned. Part of me had waited to hear those words for a long time. But another part of me had already moved on. Or had I? The days following that conversation were a whirlwind of confusion. I didn't tell Jake right away. I needed to figure out what I felt first. Every time I was with Jake, I felt warmth and security. He made me laugh, brought me comfort, and respected my independence. But Thomas, he knew a different part of me. The ambitious, younger version of myself that still believed in fairy tales and forever. Our history was deep, and I couldn't ignore it. Jake noticed my distance. One evening, as we sat watching a movie on my couch, he paused the TV and turned to me. "Is everything okay?" he asked gently. I wanted to lie, to brush it off, but I owed him the truth. "I saw Thomas," I said quietly. He reached out, said he wanted to talk, and he asked for another chance. Jake's face stayed still for a moment, and then he nodded. "Did you want to give him one?" I don't know, I said honestly. I thought I was over him, but now I'm just confused. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't beg. He simply said, I care about you, Emily. But if your heart's somewhere else, I won't fight to keep you. I want someone who chooses me without hesitation. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, replaying every memory, every moment, every feeling. I thought about the girl I used to be with Thomas and the woman I'd become with Jake. I realized something important, that relationships don't just require love. They require timing, maturity, and effort from both people. Over the next few days, I avoided both of them. I went to work, took long drives, and even went hiking alone just to clear my head. And somewhere on that quiet mountain trail, I made my decision. I called Thomas first. We met again at the same cafe. You'll always have a piece of my heart, I told him. But we're different now. We've grown in different directions, and I don't think we can go back to who we were. I appreciate your apology, and I hope you find someone who makes you happy. But I'm not that person anymore. He nodded. He didn't argue. He simply reached out, touched my hand, and whispered, I'm proud of you. Later that evening, I drove to Jake's apartment. He opened the door, and before he could say anything, I threw my arms around him. I choose you, I whispered. I'm sorry I made you doubt it, but I had to be sure. I had to close that door before I opened another. Jake pulled me close, his hand resting on the back of my neck. Then let's move forward, he said. Together. The road ahead wasn't always smooth. We had our disagreements, our growing pains. But we kept choosing each other. Every single day. Sometimes love isn't about who you've known the longest. It's about who walks in, sees you for who you truly are, and stands beside you, even when things get complicated. That relationship, the one with Jake, left me with a tough decision. But it was the right one. And it led me to a life that, while far from perfect, finally feels like home. Thumbnail text. I had to choose between my past and my future. This is what I did. Female character picture prompt. A 32-year-old American woman with shoulder-length chestnut hair, wearing light blue nurse scrubs, standing under warm lighting in a cozy apartment, her expression reflective and strong, holding a mug in her hands while looking out the window.